Good morning students, welcome back to our class. In last class, we have discussed about diseases caused by viruses. Which are the diseases caused by virus? Called mumps, smallpox, poliomyelitis, measles, rabies, jaundice, etc. So I have told you to study the table. So in the table, name of the diseases, mode of transmission, symptoms and prevention is given. So hope that you have studied it. Next we can discuss about diseases caused by bacteria. So bacteria causes some diseases. Some of them are tuberculosis, diphtheria, typhoid, tetanus, whooping cough, pneumonia, cholera, etc. Okay. Tuberculosis means it is also called TB. It is usually a disease which affects lungs. TB or tuberculosis affects lungs. And other parts of the body also affected, but mainly usually it affects the lungs. Okay. Bacteria is spread through the sputum of an infected person. Okay, the mode of transmission is through the sputum of an infected person. Okay, so that is about tuberculosis. And next is diphtheria. So this disease is caused mainly in children. It affects on children and mainly it affects on the throat. It affects the throat. Okay, and next is tetanus. Tetanus is transmitted through that is the germs which enters our body through the open wound. Through the open cuts and wounds, the bacteria of tetanus enters our body. And in this disease, the jaw gets locked. Jaw gets locked. The germs enter through the open cuts and wounds, through the unclean cuts and wounds. And when these our limbs get exposed to soil which carries cow dung particles, that bacteria enters into our body. Okay, symptoms of this disease is jaws locked due to painful contractions of jaw and neck muscles. And we can prevent it by giving anti-tetanus injection. Maybe heard about TT, isn't it? So through this anti-tetanus injection, we can prevent the disease. And also keep the wound clean and covered. If there is a wound, you have to keep it clean and should cover it. Okay, that's about tetanus. And next is whooping cough or pertussis. It primarily occurs in children. It spreads through the discharge transmission. The mode of transmission is through the discharge of the infected person. Discharge from the throat. Discharge from the throat of an infected person. So the infected person, that it gets a cough. So the patient coughs with a peculiar sound. If the person is affected with whooping cough, he coughs with a peculiar sound. Okay, so that is a whooping cough. And next is pneumonia. Pneumonia is another bacterial disease which affects in the lungs. Okay, so pneumonia is mainly it affects in the lungs. And next is cholera. Cholera is affected, it is transmitted through the contaminated food and water. It's mainly due to the infection of the intestine. It occurs due to the infection of the intestine. The symptoms are vomiting and watery stools. Okay, so that the whitish rice water color of loose motions. Okay, so loose motions, that frequent loose motions and the stools may be like whitish rice water. Okay, so these are the symptoms. So symptoms of cholera are vomiting and watery stools, that is whitish rice water color. Okay, and it spreads through contaminated food and water. We can prevent it by drinking boiled water and proper disposal of waste. Treatment is vaccination. Okay, so cholera is another bacterial disease which is transmitted through the contaminated food and water. Symptoms are vomiting and watery stools. We can prevent it by drinking boiled water, proper disposal of waste, and vaccination. Okay, so that's about bacterial diseases. So in the table, main three diseases are given. So you have to study that table. Okay. So cholera, tetanus and typhoid is briefly given in the table. Study the table thoroughly. Okay. And next is diseases caused by protozoa. Diseases caused by protozoa. Okay. So protozoa are another microorganisms which causes diseases. Some of the diseases caused by protozoa are malaria and amoebiasis. Malaria and amoebiasis. Malaria is caused by a protozoa called Plasmodium. So, the name of the protozoa which causes malaria are Plasmodium. Okay, and this protozoa, this plasmodium enters into the human body through the bite of a female Anopheles mosquito. So underline that one. The name of the protozoa plasmodium and female Anopheles mosquito. Through the bite of the female Anopheles mosquito, the plasmodium, the protozoa called plasmodium enters into the human body and which causes malaria. The symptoms of this disease is chills, a high temperature and profuse sweating. These are the symptoms of malaria. Okay, malaria is mainly caused due to the bite of female Anopheles mosquito. The causative organism is a protozoa, that is a plasmodium. Okay, the protozoa and plasmodium is the causative organism of malaria. It is transmitted through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito. You should write female Anopheles mosquito. Okay. And which are the symptoms? Chills, high temperature, profuse sweating are the symptoms of malaria. And which are the preventive measures? Elimination of mosquitoes. We can prevent this disease by eliminating mosquitoes. By different methods, we can eliminate mosquitoes. And treatment is chloroquine. The medicine chloroquine is given to the patient who suffers from malaria. Okay, so that is about malaria. And next protozoan disease is amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. Amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. So here this disease is caused by the protozoa called entamoeba. Entamoeba causes amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. It attacks large intestine. Entamoeba attacks large intestine. Okay, and the symptoms are diarrhea, then stool mixed with mucus and blood. There will be diarrhea with a gripping pain and also discharge of mucus and also blood in the stools. Okay, it is transmitted through the contaminated food and water. It affects in the large intestine. Okay, so through the contaminated food and water, the protozoa called entamoeba enters into the body and it affects in the large intestine. And the symptoms are diarrhea and stool mixed with the mucus and blood. We can prevent it by the proper disposal of feces and drinking clean water and food. The treatment is sulfa drugs. The patient who suffers from amoebiasis is the medicine is given to the patient is sulfa drugs. Okay, so the table amoebiasis and malariasis is given. Have to study this table. Okay, tick that table also. Common diseases caused by protozoa are amoebiasis and malaria. Okay, so amoebiasis caused by the protozoa called entamoeba. It attacks on the large intestine. Mode of transmission is through the contaminated food and water. Which are the symptoms of amoebiasis? This is diarrhea, then stool mixed with mucus and blood. And which are the preventive measures of this amoebiasis? That is proper disposal of feces and clean water and food. Drink clean water and food, clean food. Okay, so that the patient is given with sulfur drugs. And malaria is caused by the protozoa called Plasmodium. Okay, and the mode of transmission is through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito. Symptoms are chills, high temperature, profuse sweating. The preventive measure of this malaria is through the elimination of mosquitoes. And the medicine given to the patient is chloroquine. Okay, so that's about diseases caused by protozoa. And next is diseases caused by worms. Worms also causes some diseases. Some of the diseases are elephantiasis, Asceriasis and Tetanus. Elephantiasis, Asceriasis and Tetanus. Okay. Elephantiasis means its symptoms are highly swollen legs. The legs become swollen. Okay. And mode of transmission is bite of female Culeus mosquito. Okay, female Culeus mosquito. Malaria is caused by the bite of female Anopheles mosquito. Don't be confused with these two. So, malaria is transmitted through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito, and elephantiasis or filariasis is caused due to that it is transmitted through the bite of female Culex mosquito. Female Culex mosquito. Okay, and symptoms are highly swollen legs. The legs become swollen. And we can prevent this disease by the protection from mosquitoes, mosquito bite. That is elimination of a mosquito. Okay, and treatment is the patient is given by the antifilarial drugs. Antifilarial drugs is given to the patient who suffers from filariasis. Okay, so filariasis is caused due to the bite of female Culex mosquito. Okay, symptoms are highly swollen legs. We can prevent it by eliminating mosquitoes. Okay, so that's about elephantiasis. Next is Asceriasis. Asceriasis is another parasite. So, and it lives in the intestine. Asceriasis it is a disease which is caused by the parasite called Ascaris. That parasite lives in the intestine. So that parasite absorbs digested food. Okay, it lives in the parasite lives in the intestine. The parasite called Ascaris lives in the intestine and it absorbs the digested food. And it lays eggs. It lays eggs and these eggs, the eggs of this parasite may be found in the soil also. So the eggs of the parasite is found in the soil and unwashed fruits and vegetables also. If we eat these unwashed fruits and vegetables, these eggs may get inside our body. So Asceriasis is transmitted through contaminated food and water. Its symptoms are pain in the abdomen and vomiting. Pain in the abdomen and vomiting. We can prevent it by eating clean food and drinking clean water. Okay, and also proper disposal of feces. Okay, so through the feces, the eggs are discharged into the soil, and also these eggs may be in the unclean food and water. If we happen to drink these unwashed fruits and unclean water, what happens? These eggs may enter into our body and it reaches in the intestine and it absorbs the digested food and grows there. And it causes pain in the abdomen and vomiting. So the disease caused by Asceriasis is called Asceriasis. Disease caused by Asceriasis is called Asceriasis. Okay, then that filariasis we studied in elephantiasis. So that parasite, the name of the worm is parasite is filaria. Okay, filaria causes filariasis. Okay, and next disease is which caused by worm is Teniasis. Okay, so Teniasis means the disease caused by another worm called Taenia or tapeworm. Taenia or tapeworm. Okay, so in the language Malayalam, we use the word Nadavira. Okay, so that is a tapeworm. So this tapeworm causes the disease called Teniasis. Okay, so Teniasis is the disease caused by tapeworm or Taenia. And this parasite is found in the intestine, and also from it lives in the intestine and it absorbs digested food. Okay, and the infection is caused by eating improperly cooked meat. Okay, through the improperly cooked meat, the eggs of the tapeworm enters into our body. Okay, so the transmission of moderate transmission of Teniasis is through the by eating undercooked meat. Okay, so these symptoms are pain in the abdomen, and prevention is eating properly cooked meat. So the meat should be cooked properly, mainly pork. Okay, so it should be cooked well, cooked properly. If we not cook the meat properly, the eggs will not die, isn't it? So that eggs may reach into the into our intestine through this meat, and it reaches in the intestine and grows. Okay, and it causes it absorbs all the digested food from the intestine. Okay, so the prevention of this teniasis is eating properly cooked meat. Okay, and treatment is medication to kill worms. Not to kill the worms, we should take medicines. Okay, so these three are the some diseases caused by worms. Okay, so in our body, the three worms may be they are the filaria, then ascaris and tapeworm. Okay, so filaria causes filariasis or elephantiasis, which is transmitted through the bite of female Culex mosquito, and symptoms are highly swollen legs. Preventive measures, we can prevent this disease by elimination of mosquito, and antifilarial drugs are given to the patient who suffers from filariasis or elephantiasis. And next disease is Asceriasis, which is caused by the parasite called Ascaris, which lives in the intestine. Okay, so it is transmitted through the contaminated food and water. Symptoms are pain in the abdomen and vomiting, and we can prevent this disease by eating clean food and water. Okay, we can drink clean water and eat clean food, and also proper disposal of feces. Through this method, we can prevent ascariasis. Another disease is teniasis, which is caused by the worm called tapeworm or taenia. Okay, so it is transmitted by it is transmitted through the uncooked meat. Symptoms are pain in the abdomen, and prevention is eating properly cooked meat, and also medication to kill the worms. Okay, so This tapeworm is very dangerous and which causes teniasis, and it absorbs all the food what we are eating, the digested food it takes from the intestine, and it causes more pain. Okay, so pain in the abdomen. Okay, so you have to eat clean food. Okay, eat clean food, drink clean water, and the fruits should be clean. Okay, wash the fruits and vegetables before eating. Okay, so and also eliminate the mosquitoes. Okay, so by this method we can avoid this type of diseases. Okay, so dear students, that's about today. So today we discussed about diseases caused by bacteria and diseases caused by protozoa and also by worms. So 3 boxes are given in the textbook. You have to study these 3 boxes. Okay, so common diseases caused by bacteria are cholera, tetanus, typhoid, tuberculosis, whooping cough, pneumonia, diphtheria, etc. So, in the table, cholera, tetanus and typhoid is given. That is important. Mark it and study. And common diseases caused by protozoa are amoebiasis and malaria. So, study the table. And common diseases caused by worms are teniasis, ascariasis and filariasis. Okay, so that much for today. So dear students, study this table thoroughly. Okay, we can see your next class. Thank you.